Hey my friends, we are back from the garden and I have my pile of chives in front of the crock pot that I'm going to be using and a bunch of olive oil over there. So I'm just going to sort out kind of the crappy stuff, pardon my French, so the dry stuff, the brown stuff. So I'm just going to sort that all out and put it to the side so it can go into my compost after. Just leaving the green. So this one here is slightly yellow. Get rid of it. And I'm not going to be too picky as in, oh, that had a little bit of the green stuff on. Like, so that's yellow there. That's nice green. I might, depending on where I get, like pull off the yellow and then leave the green. But there's going to be a certain point where I'm like, okay, this is enough. And I'm just going to put the yellow slat and green stem, the whole stem, over to the compost area because it's got a compost. It's going to go back to the earth. I'm not wasting it. If I was throwing in the trash, I would be more tedious and respectful. Grass, we don't want grass. But knowing that I compost anything, if I accidentally pull out more green than I should, or one that has like green and yellow on it, it's going to be okay. I'm not wasting. It'll go in the compost. It's going to make me nice soil for next year. So I'm just going to go through this whole pile and do that. I won't make you watch the whole thing. We'll be back. Hello, we are back. I sorted through. I got most of it out. There is going to be a couple things I missed, and I'm not going to worry about that so much. The reason I'm taking out the dead and the dry and the yellow is not because it's going to ruin the oil, but it's going to take up volume that a nice green, more flavorful one would have taken out. Oh, let's see, I found another one. Pull that, throw it in my pile. So now I'm going to get this into my well-used crock pot that has a warm setting, and it's so well used you can't even see it anymore practically, but it says keep warm. That's the key. I'm not looking to boil this. I'm just looking to warm the oil so we can infuse it. Now, if this was just a small amount, let's get this set up here. I would just so if it was just a small amount, I would take some in my hand, bunch it up, and then simply take my scissors and then cut it in. I have a lot I'm doing. So this just breaks it up to small pieces and makes it more kind of surface area to get cooked up into. It doesn't have to be, I do about 2 to 1 inches. Perfect. I have a good amount. I'm just going to rough chop it and get it in. But before we do that, let's talk about, did I wash these first or not wash them first? Actually, I was out in the garden and they did get a bit of a rinse because I had been watering. If you're not sure about the cleanliness of it, you know, maybe there was a lot of dust, things kicking up, definitely, you know, give it a wash, a rinse, if you would. Let it dry a bit. This is a little wet still. I'm not worried about that. And we're going to talk more about the water contents towards the end of the video. Once this gets, quote unquote, cooking, if you would, or ready to go. Because if you washed it and it's not completely dry, there are ways that we're going to take care of that. I know everyone's like, oh no, oil and water don't mix. True, they don't mix. And that's to our advantage. So it's not going to ruin anything. Life will continue on, and I'll show you how to kind of take care of that as we go through. But right now I'm just going to give this a rough cut and get it all in my crock pot. Okay, we're back. I've given a rough cut. I even put my scissors in afterwards just to make sure I got everything there. If you hear my nose is a little running right now, I'm going to stay far away from that. Like an onion, it can tear you up. So one of the good reasons I do like or one of the benefits of working with a chive olive oil when I'm doing my cooking is I get that flavor that I want, that the onion flavor, without having to just have cut up an onion. So if it's something I'm going to saute up or needs oil in it to begin with, and I want an onion flavor, chive olive oil is just going to be my go-to. So I'm going to take my olive oil here. I made sure I got extra virgin olive oil, cold press. So the first press in cold press, so no chemicals, no heat used, just a nice first press, cold press is what I will usually always get when I can. And then I'm just going to cover it. And it's going to take a bit. So I probably want a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of the olive oil over it just to make sure I'm not getting any air. Yeah, I'm using this whole bottle. But I know myself, I know I'm going to go through this, and I might give it to a gift on Christmas time. I'm going to push it down. I'm just using my knife. I could have a nice spoon, but I did not think to bring one. And it's all nice coated. And this is where I have to make a decision. It is not, it only covers it when I'm pushing it down. And as I'm pushing it down, I'm trying to see how much I have. Eventually it's going to sink, but I don't think it's going to sink enough, giving me a good, even a 1/4 inch. Maybe it's going to give me a 1/4 inch, definitely not a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to open up some more olive oil and top that off. So learn from Jen, maybe put in less chives to begin with, unless you have a backup bottle. But I have 3 bottles over there, so not a problem. And the other herbs that I'm using, I'm going to be using less volume or less herbs, if you would, because chives is my go-to olive oil. And then I follow with a few other ones. So chives is the one I always make the most of. And if I am giving it as a gift or someone says, hey, do you have any? It's usually the chive they're asking for. Oh, can I tell you, dipping it in bread? So if you have some, there we go. All right, so now I can see as I push down, I'm going to get a nice, like a 1/2 inch or so when it comes down. Okay, so there's a couple sticking up right now. But again, with the weight of the oil, it's going to sink. I'm not worried about anything there. I shall put the lid. And then I'm going to put it on the warm setting. So again, make sure it is the warm setting. We'll come back after it's been cooking. And I don't want to call it really cooking because we're not cooking it, we're warming it. So we'll come back after it's been warmed a little bit. We'll talk about more the water problem that we might have. Okay, enjoy making your chive oil. See you shortly. Hello, my friends. We are here with the chive oil. Lift it up. It's done. There's a little bit of water and condensation on the lid. So what I always do is make sure I pick it up gingerly. So I pick it up gingerly, not to get any of the oil into that. When I am stirring it, if I decide to stir it throughout, make sure I pick it up, I wipe it off with a paper towel, and then I put the lid on. Because if I slam down the lid, there was water on it, the water is going to get in here. So that's one way I take care of the water issue. So if you look at that, it's not that bright green. It's starting to turn brown. I know it's done and it smells so good. So I could have taken a bit of the oil. Let's do it this way here. Oh, I can really taste it. Really, really taste it. So So now the next step is to strain it. I like to use a metal strainer because metal just cleans up better. And I like to use glass because, again, both for cleaning. So I'm just going to get rid of this. Oop, dripping it everywhere. It's really simple. I'm just gonna do that. So simple. Straining. Now I know for this one, I put a lot of oil in, so I'm not gonna dump it all in there quite yet. It is messy. Getting some over on the side. You have your paper towels, your dish towels around. I probably get a little bit more in there. Try to shake. Now I could, this was the final batch. I would just let it sit in here. Not final batch, this is my last one that I was going to be putting in. Kind of looks like bad string beans when I was little. I'm going to let it drip back into there. There we go. And I'm luckily enough, I have kept the original container. So I'm going to pour it back into that. And then I just need to get my metal funnel, which I thought I had in hand. I did not. So we're back. Metal funnel is in there. Let me get this up. Thank you. Boom. So real simple. First thing, again, we've talked about water, so I want to check the bottom of this. I am not seeing any water. Water will separate and kind of go to the bottom. It normally will not happen at the beginning. Let some air through. As in, if there's going to be more than one of these pitchers that I'm putting into it, I'm not going to find the water on the first one. I'm going to find it on the last one. I'm just going to pour this in to the original container because that's just taking care of the environment. Again, we are going to have more in this one because I had to open up a second one, if you remember. But then I got some old pasta jars that I'll put the remaining in. And if you can see how much that has darkened. Now this was the original color, and now this is the darkened color. It's a little bit more green hue to it. Let's get the next bit out into here. This might be like twice, we'll see. Oh, I just need that one. And I have plenty of room to smush. I don't think this is going to be watery at all. Again, we had a very dry summer, if I did not mention that already. Making a lot of videos telling people about our lot dry summer. Oh, funny, I have this, I don't know if you can see it when I bring it up. That's how green it was before. Can you see? I should look here. That's how green it was. And this is the green it turned. So definitely you can see that's wasted. So that's how you know when it's kind of wasted away. No more life in it. That is how you know. Now, if this was wet and watery, right now the oil would be separating from the oil. The oil would be separating from the water. And the oil would go on top of, I'm getting myself so dirty. The oil would go on top of the water. So the water would go on the bottom, the oil floats on top, and then I would gingerly, it's still dripping. So here we go. So if I was to look at the bottom, I would see some water there if there was going to be any issue. If I already didn't know this was the dry season, I might give it a bit of a rest. Let it sit there and see if it separates. Think about like when you're making gravy, something like that. So I'm to risk it. If you're not feeling steady about that, like, ooh, let it wait. Walk away, go do some dishes, go do what you need to do, come back. Do you see it separated? No? Fine. See it separated? Yes. Pour off then, or continue to funnel until you get to the point where the water would be about to come out. And then stop. You've lost some of the oil, but that's okay. So that's it. I'm going to take my extra, bottle it up. The most important thing is to remember to label it. So this is going to be so good. Oh, excuse me. I'm just going to finish bottling it up. I'm going to label what type of oil it was. So by tasting it, I could tell, but if someone else is not so, and then definitely date it. And then periodically, as I use it as several months go by, I will give it a smell. If it smells like Crayola crayons, then I know that it is kind of past its prime. And I'm looking in the bottom still. I see a few little bubbles. I think they're more oily bubbles. I will give it some time. We'll come back to that. Just in case. Well, actually, I'm going to put all this. See, this is how I can change my mind and do things. All this in the smaller one. So if it separates in this one, I'll just move it into a separate one. See those? Let's see if I can get into. These are those bubbles. Those are what I'm questioning. That could be a little watery, but usually when I'm looking in it, there is a distinct line. So I'm going to go ahead, put it all in, and tomorrow I'm going to check. If it's separated, great. I'll just put it in a new bottle. If it's not, that's okay too. That's probably better. Give me some time. I'm going to go wash now. I will put this into, so label, nice and green. Almost put my lid back on that. And that, my friends, is chive oil. So any recipe that might call for both oil and onions, and I'm just doing something quick, I'm just going to do it with the chive oil. So if I want some, doing some home fries real quick, instead of chopping up some onions, I'm just going to use my chive oil, olive oil. If I have a nice bread, I'm going to pull out my little dipping dish, put that oil in, a little salt, a little pepper. Oh, that's going to be so good to dip my nice bread in. So tons of things you can do with chive oil. Let me know in the comments what you're going to do.